Uffe, third session here Friday about embellishment, and just a few days ago I had the pleasure of talking to you about GM and all the wonderful things you do. And today I think we have actually hold through to your demo room, isn't that right?
Yes, thanks a lot for having me a whole 3 times. I mean, I must not be that boring. So yes, today we actually in our very nice, super equipped showroom where we have all our machinery here, and we're gonna do some magic today. We're gonna talk about one of the hot topics, digital embellishment. I'm looking forward to share some of the magic with you today.
I don't know if you read because I caught up the episode we did yesterday and put online, and I wrote that if passion flows in the veins, basically you are I mean, you were so passionate about not just the company but your customers and the labels, and I thought it must be very satisfying for customers working with a CEO that knows so much about the technology and at the same time is such a friendly face, to be honest. So, Uffe, for a label converter, how important is the embellishment side for their business today?
Well, for a label converter, let's talk about the most important thing. That is actually profit. And I have prepared a few slides, but let's have the chat first here. And profit, that goes with being a little bit unique, and that goes hand in hand with embellishments. And in today's market, things are changing super fast, and runs are shorter and shorter. And having digital embellishment, that is the best tool to fix that problem, because then you can be unique. You can have a little more than the guy next door, and it's also very good in this sustainability environment that a by effect of running digital is that you can also significantly limit your waste. Thus you limit your you make the labels more sustainable, and you have a lower CO2 imprint on each product. And that's really a question that's coming up today. How sustainable is the technology?
It's funny because when we spoke the other day, we spoke about your amazing laser cutter, and maybe stupid me, but I thought that in the label finishing, the laser cutter was more like, okay, we have the shapes of the laser die cutter instead of having a die, but you actually put it in a different perspective for me, because it also is becoming a part of the embellishment thing, because you showed a wine label where you had like a drop that was cut out of the label, and that gives entirely new opportunities for seeing how laser is also part of the embellishment, not just in the finishing side. Is that something that is that new, or has been that for since the laser was invented, or how is that from your perspective?
It has been in the core technology of lasers since the birth of the lasers, but us and our clients, we only in the past 2 years figured out how to bring this to a commercial use. And it actually started out with a funny project. We did a project for the very secret people that makes the passports of the world.
Oh.
And they came to us and asked, how can we protect the passports in a way so you can't copy them? And I said, well, let's try to cut a hole from the first page and then all the way through the passport so it will form like a cone, because the laser will burn the first page a little bit more and then less. So you will actually have a book that has kind of a cone-shaped hole into it. Now I'm probably going to go to jail and a lot of kind of things, but this shows an embellishment not on a label but on a passport, and it is unique because it's a digital tool. It's varying in each passport, and it makes a special imprint in the passport that makes it very difficult to copy. So this is the first time we used, in a technical term, it's called abrasion. We are removing layers of material in a very controlled way. And that is one of the great benefits of laser technology. It's like a chisel, but you can adjust it. So you can actually adjust digitally how deep do you cut.
And
I think we're just starting to see the possibilities, what you can really do with a laser. Yeah.
And you know, the first thing I will do when we finish this session is go and check my passport, of course, because I remember there's this, yeah. So that's
If it's
fantastic.
not there, then you bought it at the main central train station for $500, and then
Okay.
I would leave the country rather quickly.
They let me in the US last week, so I think it's pretty okay.
Okay, that's gotta be good. Yeah.
So back to my question, the embellishment from your customer's perspective, I understand the importance because of the, all the things you mentioned. I also think, and maybe you mentioned that, but I was just, clicking buttons at the same time. But I was also thinking that when it comes to consumer behaviors, the customers that buy the products off the shelves and see the products, there is also a very strong trend that tactile and very beautiful labels and packaging is actually supporting increased sales, right?
That's right. And now you're coming to the magic. So I have one label here. I also have one over in our inspection table that we're going to try to do our first video trick later here. Not yet, but later.
Great.
We're going to try to cross clip between two cameras. It's very advanced for us. But I actually have some digital labels here where I have zoomed in on our inspection table so you can really get a feel. Because this, with touching a label, feeling the embellishment, that's a part of the brain trick. If we have a feeling, this is feeling nice, then in our brain we already bought the product. And that's one of the trick with the embellishments, that you wanna connect ownership to the end client, so he feels obligated to buy it. That's the dirty trick, but from a printer's perspective, it's an upsell opportunity. If you can add this to the product and sell more product, it's something we should look into.
I don't know if you know, and I don't know if it's a public term, but soft touch lamination. You know the slang word for it. It's rubber duck. And if you think of these small yellow rubber ducks where you have it with your kids in the bathtub, right? It is like you just feel it is so soft and nice, right? So I think it's a great example of like what we touch and feel. It has different senses. Maybe also because it reminds us of something that is different, right? I can't. I remember the first time I saw the Skodex embellishment machine for the sheets. They printed a basketball that had the same surface as a basketball, and it was not round, but it almost felt round. So it.
We'll do a new episode of Lord of the Rings with soft touch laminate. It's my precious. Exactly the soft touch laminate we ran actually at Label Expo and had some great samples. And this is a relatively simple product from a technical perspective. It's a matte surface, typically black, and then you print a little bit of gloss effect on top of that, and then everybody goes, wow, this is amazing. But if you compare to, for example, cutting a hole in a label with a laser, cutting a hole in a label and getting rid of the waste, difficulty level 10. Making a soft touch laminate with a little bit of spot on, difficult level 1. So there are some effects where there is just no connection between the wow effect you get and the actual work you have to put into it. And this is why at every label show I have my black Bible. It's kind of a wow book, and it's not something that we cooked up here in the showroom. That is actually existing clients of GM that it's their way of saying thank you. They're sending back their labels to us and say, hey, see what we make with the machine. And I really appreciate that. And we make this precious book with all the labels, and that's my favorite trick when we are selling a machine. They say, come see what our clients are doing on the machinery. And then we look at all the labels, and label printers, it's the same. If they start touching the labels, they already bought the machine. So we can use the trick to sell machinery as well.
And Uffe, I can't help thinking about, because you're good at social media, I saw your post on LinkedIn today where you just showed a handwritten appreciation letter from a customer. I think the person visited your demo center, right? And I mean, that is when I talk about the passion that I sense with you and your team and the personal relationship is, I mean, of course you have brilliant technology, but it's that combination that is really great, and to some extent also maybe a little bit rare, because we get bigger and more distant to some customers, at least some companies does. Last question before we're going to dig into what you're going to show us. both of us just came from Label Expo, and when you go at a show like Label Expo, and with all due respect, you see a lot of companies offering different conversion solutions to labels. So maybe this is actually two questions. First of all, how much difference is there, not in the machines and technology, but I mean, for GM to offer embellishment as part of your solution? Is it like a necessity and you have to do it, or I know you like it, but is it like a very important KPI? And secondly, what is the main? Why should people choose working with GM as a supplier? I'm just trying to figure out, since you go to a trade show.
It's 4 questions in one. This is a difficult one.
Yeah, but you love the questions. I know you do. So just shoot away. Sorry, I was taken away.
Yeah, no worries. We're going to start with the boring, greedy argument first. And this is very honest. We sell machines in the outer regions where they have public funding, like less developed area of Europe and so on. And we have a lobby organization called the EU that is pushing money into these regions. And it's no secret that if you can bring a technology as the first mover into another region of EU, you can get almost 100% public funding. Whoa. So in that perspective, putting a digital embellishment unit on a equipment is a sales enabler. They will buy this, maybe not because they have the clients for it, but because they can get 100% funding. And by the way, 99% of their product is the standard machine and 1% is the new technology adventure. That is one it's a very clear reason, and I'm completely honest about it. Of course, we participate in this because it's an opportunity to sell.
Of course, yeah.
The other guy is the guys, the major league players. I'm not going to mention any brand names here, then I'm going to get in trouble again. But we are present with a lot of major brands in the label world. And they have a strategic department that is looking at what are we going to need to invest in to be here tomorrow. They will then come, and they are the tough guys. They have a purchase department. They're going to battle 10 different suppliers against each other, and then they are going to buy the best solution for that. And then there's finally the last kind of client. That is the, I still love this kind of client. That is the family-owned company. They will come and they will go and do the classical, I like it. Oh, it's a very nice label. And they will say, start talking to us. Can you learn us this? Can we afford this? And we set up a piece of kit that will move them into the future. So that's actually 3 reasons why to buy this. And you take it in 3 actually different levels. So it's from the top of the world to the very floor.
I can tell you in that, I don't know if you know that, but we did actually a film from Printella in Kaunas in Lithuania just a few weeks ago for HP, and it will be very soon be published. And they are very proud owners of GM technology. So you will see that even though it's a freebie, so to speak, right? But it's oh yeah, I know that, Uffe.
If you want to check out a company history, take a look at them, because they actually they made the dream come through. They started up in the back of the workshop with less opportunities than odders, and then they built it, and now they're actually expanding into an area that we are also looking into. They're going into flexibles. Yeah. And we are taking our narrow web technology and then we are putting it up to 30 inches to be compatible with some of the wide web presses. And now you mentioned that soft touch, that's actually something, if you want to have something in a flexible bed, having it soft touch with a little bit of gloss, digital varnish, it's going right in. That's also another interesting project.
It will sell coffee, right?
It will.
Yeah, that's great. Uffe, let's. I will let you take the lead right now, and then, as we did also the other day, let me get back to you when you have done your job. Then I will do my job afterwards. Okay?
One small advertising. All right? Are you ready for it?
Yes,
Morten, I know you hate this.
No.
So we have a brand new catalog on our webpage now. It's 40 pages of yum yum. So go online and download that one. It's really, we really spend an effort, and you can see all about the digital varnish in this one. So remember that. That's
So
enough of the
no,
advertising, all
no,
right?
I will counter that because you said download it. So how will you download the touch and feel of it? I mean, come on, Uffe.
Yeah, all right, that's a
You
little,
have to put a stamp on it, right?
yeah. I'll set them for everybody registering.
Okay,
All right,
fantastic.
let's get on with the PowerPoint slides. I promise to be quick, so we'll just bring on the presentation now. We'll fiddle a little bit with the technology, but in a second. I think, Morten, are we good now with the slides?
You are actually very good with the slides, and you are also in the slide.
Perfect. Then let's jump right into one case story. I also did an interview yesterday where I did two, but let's just take this one because it's local and it's Danish and it's very down to earth. So this is Thomas. He has a print shop and he has embarked on the digital journey, and it's really moving him now because he's looking at how to get away from a certain kind of labels. So if we flip one more slide, this is the kind of labels that I love, and I know I've used this metaphor frequently where I say, okay, this is liver pastry. It's everybody in Denmark, they love it, everybody else, they hate it, but in the printing world, it's a word for, sorry to say, now I'm mentoring brands, it's a word for boring labels. It's a standard label, there's no embellishments, it's completely flat, everybody is competing one-to-one with the same print cost on it. So Thomas, he wants to get away from the liver pate and get into the more delicious business. So he's trying to get smart, and he's actually very good at this. So he's looking at these high embellished products, and he has a lot of our machinery. So he is now capable both of foiling, embossing, and raised varnish. And if you take a look at this, I almost want to buy that wine on the left side of the screen with the nice embossing effect. But that's only one effect. What I'm going to talk about today in digital embellishment is you always have to remember that digital embellishment in today's day is a combination between a conventional process and a digital process. We also saw that in some of the slides from our competitors with the Atika system, that it's actually a combination of analog screen printing for a trigger image and then a digital metallization. We have the same, but a little bit different. If you look here at the labels to the, there's this glass of chocolate. There's a little bit, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but there's a little bit of screen print there. This is really nasty from a printer's perspective. Doing something like that digitally is very nice because then you have the one good thing about digital, especially good thing about digital is repeatability. When we put something in a digital embellishment system and press play, it's going to do exactly the same day, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, all week it's going to do it. Whereas you have a screen, conventional flatbed, going back and forward, that system is going to perform one way with Bo, the operator, and another way with Steve, the operator. It's going to be a nightmare for quality control. So one of the nice things about digital technology is the repeatability, and also as a print shop owner perspective is that you can hire people with less skill because it's not as complicated to operate. Let's have a little bit of theory. So as we talked about before, this, by the way, I'm honest, I completely stole this slide from Vicky Skroll, who check her out. She is even better at social media than I am. Check her out. She's the one with the clever slides on why it really works and why our brain is wet wired to touch and fall in love with things that feels nice. Let's have a little more look at the technology. So the type of embellishment, you mentioned the laser before. This was actually how it started first with the passports. A little bit later, some guys with food in plastic wrapping, they found out it was easy. If they shot holes into the plastic wrapping, they could control the nitrogen atmosphere within the food packaging, and making the food last a day or two longer on the shelf. That's a lot of money. In our world, making something that you can look into a product is really key. We also made another version that we can talk about another day where it's actually there's shot a hole into a chemical indicator. So you can see it's red if it's bad and green if it's good, but it's still shooting a hole and making an embellishment. Now let's get on to the varnish and the digital embellishment again. This actually started out with our lovely friends in the EU. I keep coming back to the lovely friends in the EU. They made some very nice laws that says everything dangerous, put a triangle on it. Everything that is person-specific medicine, put a code on it so you can see if it's your mother's pills or your pills. Basically, if you're blind, that's some bad misunderstandings could happen. But it started out with Braille and with the Nordson nozzle systems. There was some system out. We were involved in something called the Braille Maker back in the past. Very crude systems. Resolution was 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter. Now we actually have print technology that has a resolution of several hundred dots per millimeter. And some of the examples you can see here, the dots are made conventional, and whereas the warning triangle is made with the digital system. And there is also laws about these triangles. They must have a certain height, yada yada. Very nice with a digital system that can do this in a repeatable way, always the same. Let's move on and look at some more embellishments. Now that we have some wet foil controlled on the web in a digital way, in a digital control amount, with a digitally controlled level of dryness, we can make that varnish a little bit sticky, so semi-dry. And that means that we can put a foil on top of it and then blast it again with a mercury lamp. And now we suddenly have digital foil, because what we are replicating here is cold foil, but we took out the analog component, the conventional flexo cliche with the glue in, and we just replaced that with a digital inkjet bar. And the really clever part about this, for all the printers who are watching this, it's the same ink. So the ink for the cold foil and the ink for the high build varnish, same stuff. Really nice to know, because everybody who knows a little bit about an inkjet system knows that changing color in an inkjet system is not something you want to do. So if you can keep the same stuff in the system all the time, it's a big advantage. Let's look at a little bit on what the digital system cannot do, and where you need a little bit of help from our very good and very fast, world-leading analog technology. That is in terms of the hot stamping, because a hot stamping is a combination of an embossing and a foil, and it's 50 tons of pressure at a ridiculous speed. It goes very fast with our new machines, and then we make the paper completely flat, so the thing works on natural papers. So if we need some embossing effects, we still need that good analog puncher, and then we can put some digital varnish on top of that, and then we have a hybrid system. I'm going to come into that. That's a really important detail to take away here. Let's look a little bit about the top level in the factory, because in GM we used to make just machinery, and it was a very simple life, and it was very nice. And then Industry 4.0 and automation hit us like a freight train. So now we are actually becoming a part of the factory's integrated information stream. So the MIS system in the factory needs to connect into our machine to tell you, is operator John very good? How much waste? How much operator time? And also to get the digital files down to the various stations. So we are embarking not only from digital print in the start, but we are also coming into digital embellishment. And then we are crawling out to the MIS and the ERP systems. And some of the most advanced clients we have our fingers all the way out in the web end, where the orders are coming in, going into our laser die cutter and getting cut out. So actually we are all the way out touching the end clients. But this is a digital converting technology is really taking off now. I use this slide to show how many systems there are actually involved in this. Let's get a little more in detail. So why is it that it's a great time saver in a print shop? Some of the systems you saw before on the previous slide, they are involved in ordering all the tools. So for a conventional tool, you need to order the screen, you need to order the hot foiling plate, and you need to get a bespoke varnish and so on. All of this requires lead time and takes a long time. If you look at the more digital systems, there's only one ink. Not 100 foils on stock. There's only one screen varnish, not 100 different screen varnish. Very nice. We like it. So if we look at how it actually works, the screen, the digital inkjet head will print down the varnish it's using right now a SAR head. It could be another head, but these heads are actually, that's a repeating question, they're quite resilient because they are double row heads. So if you have a nozzle block on one row, you can actually enable a secondary row, and then you have more resilience. Because one of the bummer things in an inkjet system is if you make what's called a cowboy splice, and then you run it through the machine and you touch all the heads, your CEO will not be happy because they're quite pricey. But these systems have a little more life because they have these double rows. You can clearly see it on the slide. I don't know if you can see the mouse, but there are some double rows here. So in the software, there is a possibility to give it like a second life. I don't know if it has 9 lives, but definitely it has a second life. Also, there is they learned from the guys at Microsoft about subscriptions and pay up. So you can actually, if you see it, when you get it as standard, you pay for standard like 100 microns. If you then pay double up, it enables all 4 nozzles here, and then you get the super high build, but it's the same head all the time. How the foiling works for the printers, it's, as I said before, very similar to cold foiling process. Of course, there are tricks, because if you have a wet glue coming out and you squash it with 100 kilos of pressure, foil is completely flat, no fun. So that's a part of the technology we can learn is how do we actually get that digital inkjet like semi-dried and then put some semi-pressure on it and then get the foil away. That's part of the trick book that I'm not going to tell you here, but we know how to do it. And call us and get a nice demo here in the showroom. We'll tell you all about that. So the workflow, as I said before, it's not that complicated if you're familiar already in your digital print shop with a hot folder for a digital press where you need to drop some files down, PDF files with various layers. If you look at a digital converting shop, just consider each station in the converting equipment as one of your color stations in your digital press. If we can use that analogy, it's every embellishment step is actually a layer in your Adobe Illustrator file, so it's like a color. That's a very nice way to understand it. Epson, they took it to the full extent. They actually put a clear varnish. They're cheating. They put a clear varnish in their press. But we hope they will wait a little bit selling that stuff, because until they do, they are going to buy that clear varnish from us. So if you look here at that train, the last module on the right, that's actually a digital varnish module. And that just takes the same file that you put in your digital press, but it's looking at another layer in that file where you have the actual varnish. That's how easy it more or less is. But if you want to know more, get to know us. And then we will take you on tour in the lovely showroom. Let's, actually, I'm speaking too fast today. There was a little information here. I'm just worried that the clock would run. So we'll take a little bit slower now. But let's talk about how you get that connection between that PDF file and the actual hot folder. And the way that is made is that you will use your workflow system to print a QR code on the side of each label. That QR code contains a file name on a hot folder in your print shop on your local server. If you have like a firewall, or if you're a little more open-minded, it's a hot folder on a cloud-based system. Both things will work. Then the system will pick up that file and put it into your digital embellishment module. In an ideal world, it would work immediately. It also does if you run the same varnish. Yes, we are doing that, remember, from before, and also run the same scrub straight and the same speed. Then it will work. A digital varnish is like a laser. It is sensitive to the materials that you're using and to the temperature of the ink. That was a little detail. Let's move a little bit on to how the real hardware look. Now we're gonna kick some tires. So, we've spent the last 10 years perfecting a modular structure. If you look at GM machine 10 years ago and look at them today, some of the modules may be recognizable, but if you open up inside, there's a lot less stuff inside, because the electronics and drivetrain in the machine is just a lot more clever and much more compact. And that allowed us to actually just put all the electronics we need for the digital varnish module in one module. All the electronics we need for our clever multi-layer module, where we can put extended content in one module. So if you buy our Flex finishing line, then we can come back in a year, split it in the middle, and squeeze in this box. If you look at this machine on the actual picture, the machine in the red, the unit in the red, that's our digital embellishment module. And right next to it on the right side, we have the multi-layer module. Those are the two most interesting module right now. And both of them are interesting because our friends EU make some more laws so we can get some more regulatory text on the labels and buff up the use for multi-layer labels. So let's move on. Slide change.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. So today, this is where we're going to show off our new fancy technology. First, before we do that, let's just have a brief look. Morten, you must tell us if the sound goes, then I'll shout a little bit louder. Okay. But here, what I talked about before is this hybrid technology, where we are using a conventional hot stamper to flatten a natural substrate and put down the nice flat gold effect. And then we are taking out the screen component. The slowest component in a finishing line is the screen, because the squeegee has to go zigzag, it's not very fast. The hot stamper is like a machine gun, it's really fast. So we're taking out the slowest component in the production line and replacing it with a digital varnish that is up to speed with the hot stamper. And then we are making a hybrid job now, where we take the best of two worlds. So let's try and press the fancy button, and then we can jump over to our inspection table. Oh, let's see here. No?
Right on.
Morten, did you see a picture change, or are you still seeing me?
No, I changed to the film.
So you see the okay. So
or the converting made easy, where you have the foil, right?
So you're seeing me?
Yeah, I see your finger now. Yeah.
Sorry for the beginner's trouble here. But actually here we placed the same label on our inspection table, and I'm gonna just twist it a little bit so you can see the very nice build height here. We also did some more simple stuff like this. So we can truly create some really amazing labels without having to mess with screen and mesh size. And I'm going to get a little bit nerdy about this, because look at this big area here in the middle. This is a solid fill in screen that requires a very big mesh size. Now we're going to do our little trick. At the same job we are running here, we have some very fine text. I'm just going to see if I have it. Yeah, I have it. I'm going to point at it now. So very fine text here. And that is showing one of the key strengths on digital technology. We are not restricted to the physical size of a screen mesh, because we are running inkjet technology. That means that we can do very detailed print and solids in the same job without having to switch any screen or any varnish, without having to worry about viscosity, screen mesh size, the hardness of the squeegee, and all that stuff. It's out of the equation. It's the PDF we have to worry about. What density level did we put in the PDF, and all of this? It is everybody who has been meshing with making wine labels will understand that this is a major advantage in production time, setup, and waste. Running in a conventional screen and hot stamp job will waste a lot of material, because you're meshing with these analog parameters. We're taking that out of the equation, so we are saving the world a little bit and making more money. It's going to be a good Friday, all right? So I promised just to show a few more slides on the factory. We are located in Denmark, brand new factory. We have 140 people that only dream about labels every time they go to bed and close their eyes. It's a super clean factory. We are very high on engineers. That's a unique thing about us. If you look to the guy on the floor engineer ratio, we are just far too many engineers, but that's because the DNA here is innovation and development. So as you can see, we have the big block in the middle. We don't have the barracks on the side. So this is a very nice 9,000 square meters or 100,000 square feet modern production facility located around half an hour from Copenhagen Airport. So do come and visit us. This is how the setup looks. We can have around 50 machines on the floor at the same time, and it's a completely lean factory or Toyota model setup. This is our showroom. We can have actually in the showroom around 5 machines. You see around half of the machines here. On the left side, we have the hot stamper for doing the highly embellished wine labels and so on. On the next video, I'm going to train a little more so we can take you on a 360 tour, but maybe Lykke will try. We're going to be brave. So you can see the machine set up here. And this is something we do all day long. We do demos, bring clients into the showroom, and then we do a nice personal video where we can work on the machine together with you, having your job in the machine, and you can do a Q&A, close up and personal, and you can almost touch it, Morten. So that's the nice thing about Corona. Thank you, Corona, for giving us live streaming and virtual demos. I think that's about it, what I have on the program today. So you can switch me back to the Q&A now. Just 1 second, I'm gonna try and turn this.
I could see you now. You are turning back. That's great, Uffe. You are a showman, I must say.
I'm training every day. Lykke says, "Come down, let's do a show."
So you have a second job in Circus Baldora.
Yeah, something like that.
No, just joking. It's great. The digital embellishment thing that you showed now with in the live kind of thing with the way you touch it with your fingers, is that something that a lot of converters are requesting and demanding right now, or is it still like in its early days?
I would say it like that. We have around 10 systems out on various platforms.
Yeah, but I was
I'm
just
very honest about this.
Yeah.
Let me just say, if the system was 100K, I would be selling them like hotcakes every day.
Yeah.
It's not 100K. So that's the biggest problem, is that the price of the equipment today, it's if you want to be a first mover, if you want to have the first Tesla, you're going to pay a price. And that's where we are now with the digital embellishment. There is no question about the Tesla, it will work. But as you are a first mover, you're going to pay the price for everybody else to get a cheap Model 3 later.
Yeah, that's true. I was not really questioning that. I was just thinking that, as we spoke about the other day, sometimes you can be a market driver, or sometimes you can be market driven. And if you're market driven, it's because, everybody is knocking on GM stores, say, give us some laser or some digital embellishment. And at other times, it's like, okay, you develop this because you are confident that this is the future of things. So I was more like, how important do you think it will be in a future for converters?
It's key in the future. It's like how we did with the lasers a decade ago. It was I took over the motto from Epson in Japan, that we have a cooperation with as well. They just keep. I told them they had I don't know if you remember, they had a press at some point nobody believed in, and now they sold thousands of it. And I asked the program director, what do you do if you really believe in it? And he looked at me stone cold, just said, Uffe, just keep throwing money at it. And I think that's kind of the thing we had with the laser technology. That was also, in the first year, it was not that fun. It didn't work properly. Now it's much, much better. And I think we have the same here with the digital technology. It's a future strategic driven project for us. So we keep throwing money at it because we know that this is going to be the future. The only showstopper for me is that if the nice guys in the business that makes the digital presses, if all of them, they decide to change the 7 color with a clear varnish, I'm probably not going to sell an awful lot of these digital varnish units, but I don't think that's necessarily going to happen.
But that, I mean, of course, you never know what happens on the OEM side, because they are also trying to be innovative like yourself. But I think that what you show is also that you have I mean, you're a big company, but you're still very agile in how you develop and how you listen to the market. So I'm pretty sure that you will be successful with it. I was also thinking that if you look at digital varnish, as you just showed, maybe there could be other applications, because basically the moment that you start to get first-hand knowledge about how to work with the print heads and how to, maybe you invent other ideas for how to utilize. I mean, we just had a presentation with Paolo from Artega before, and basically they just put glue in it and then it works with the Ecoleaf thing. I mean, so you see the same technologies can sometimes be utilized in many different ways, which is always interesting, right? I like also
if you ask me about that, I have a lot of ideas on how this technology could be used in the future, and I think we're going to see some of them. But the ideas of tomorrow are in printed functional technology. So let's say we could get that inkjet head to print a conducting pattern. Yeah. Then you have you're printing an RFID chip. Nice invention, right? Also, if we could put a little chemical in it so you could control the smell of it, you could add what we call like a 4D or 5D movie theater. So you could put a little bit of smell in that. So we could add a scent instead of just a feeling. So we just seen the top of the iceberg. What you can actually do with inkjet technology is a question about chemistry. And we just have to see how that chemistry and regulation, because right now I do not recommend that you start licking the labels.
No. And talking about not licking labels, but talking about all the applications that you can do, I noticed that on INKISH News last week you posted a press release or information about that you got a contract on solar panels. And some people might think that solar panels, finishing equipment, but basically when you have engineers working on different technologies, sometimes there is a overlay where you basically say that, okay, maybe the print heads, as you say, add conductivity to the ink, or add a scent to the ink, or make a piece of paper with solar cells built in, or whatever it could be. I mean, I think that is one of the things that make GM a fantastic company, is basically that you actually do challenge all the normal things, in my opinion.
I think that's what we're about. It's innovation, and it's also I usually, when I hire a new engineer, I tell them this, that you wanna work in a company where they have a Formula One team, then come work with us, because like every car builder, they have a team who does all the funny stuff, but over time the funny stuff will drain through the organization and end up on the main machines. And that's why we do things like solar cells, functional medical sensors, power to X, surface barriers, lithium-ion surface barriers, and conducting layers, and so on. So everything you can put on a roll and do roll-to-roll technology, that's GM. That's what we do. Everything that can be automized on a roll-to-roll process. Just don't come ask me about sheets. Sheets are too. That's another world. Everything you put on a roll-to-roll, that's what we love.
And let that be the last word of today, because I think it was actually a good ending point that you are innovative, you see options in your business, and you adapt to the market opportunities when customers come to. I take, maybe a last question actually, I take that with the innovative approach and also very custom centric way. Do you from time to time get requests from customers about building something that is entirely for them?
That is what, sorry?
That's entirely for this specific customer. I mean, custom-made solutions, or is it always standard solutions?
I would say if you look on our order flow, it used to be 50% custom and 50% standard. Today, because of the size, it's 5% custom and 95% standard. So it changed, but the company also grew a lot. And but we're never going to let go of that 5%. But that is what is keeping us sharp. And it also helped having 95% of standard module building blocks, because in a custom project, many clients they call us and they say, "We seen you on YouTube with a machine like this, and by the way, we have a plastic bag and we need to put a toothbrush into it. Can you do it?" I mean, a lot of the communication that we do on social media and also on specific social groups for very advanced stuff, that reflects out to the production. environment, and then we get. I'm learning to say no. I would say that's the conclusion, because a lot of people, they call and ask for stuff, and we really have to look at this and say, is this something that we can engage in a professional way, or is this something that would be interesting but not us? So I'm learning to say no.
That will be the last word. Thank you very much, sir, and have a wonderful Friday. I know that it's always good because you sold for millions, so that's great. Thank you very much, Uffe. And say hi to your wonderful team as well, right?
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Bye-bye.